All right, the intensification method of the day is going to be supersets. And we'll talk about supersets as two different kinds, where you're supersetting for the same body part and you're supersetting for opposite body parts. First, we'll talk about same body part, right? So it's important to understand is that muscles are extremely complex, right? So for example, if you take the chest, you know, you have the upper pectoral part, and then you have the sternal component of the chest. So you have the lower chest, the upper chest, or the upper pecs, and the lower pecs. If you take the deltoids, right, we have the anterior delt, we have the medial delt, and then we have the rear delt, right? So it's hard to find one single exercise that can fully develop that entire muscle. Even the biceps have two heads, right? And so what studies show is that your nervous system will recruit different heads or different parts of the muscle depending on the mechanical tension that's on the muscle, the angle that's on the muscle, the exercise that you actually select. And the only way to fully tax it is to hit it from as many angles as you can. And so that's one of the advantages of performing supersets for the same muscle group. So, for example, let's say that you're doing, you're doing dumbbell bench press, and you're supersetting that with flies. That's a way where you're doing a compound movement, and then you're finishing the muscle off with an isolation movement. Okay. So again, there's a lot of ways, and again, the thing about supersets, they cause a lot of metabolic stress, motor unit recruitment, but I like to think of it as the ultimate way to fully recruit and optimize the shape of the muscle and the symmetry of the muscle. So Lawrence, how do you use supersets?
I like to use supersets by usually the same muscle group. You can do different muscle groups, like you can do hamstrings and quads, because my quads are always a lot bigger than my hamstrings, so I try to recruit my hamstrings first and then do quads, or doing like shoulders. Like you said, building out a cap, using your medial head, you can't do just rear delts or anterior and do front raises. So you might have to go lateral raises into a press. And there's so many variations you can use on supersets to create the ideal effect.
Exactly. And I think that's absolutely key, which brings us to the next point that Lawrence talked about is you can also superset from opposite body parts, right? So interesting what he talked about on how he sequenced that. So when we talk about opposite body parts, like Lawrence talked about, you can do leg extensions and leg curls, right? Well, you're training the quads and the hamstrings. What's the benefit of that? Well, one of the benefits is that you save time, okay? So let's say, for example, you were to do 3 sets of leg extensions and you're to rest between each set, and then you're to do 3 sets of leg curls and rest between each set. It would take you twice as long, okay? But when you're supersetting them, you can get it done in half the time. And studies show your strength is actually the same. And it's very interesting what Lawrence pointed out is how he sequences things. So when he starts off with the hamstrings, he's really developing that mind-muscle connection with the hamstrings, and then he goes to quads, but it helps him with further development of the hamstrings. And it also goes with the priority principle. You probably start with the muscle group you're trying to optimize, or the muscle group that might be behind. So again, these are great techniques to optimize an individual muscle group, or if you're trying to save time. I also talked to you again about Lawrence getting in cardiovascular shape through exercise. Doing supersets obviously is very taxing to the cardiovascular system.